environment. Things that some people do though, for a hard payout are things like extended free trials. Discounting at higher usage levels is almost an extended payout. Free trials of additional services. In some cases, customer advisory boards, if you're running a customer advisory board, can actually turn into a really hard, meaningful payout. And that's really around access. And so the hard payout there is access. The other side of the coin is reputation. So, and that's really about the community. To develop reputation, you inherently need to have a social environment, because your identity in establishing your reputation only makes sense relative to other people. So, from a product design and development perspective, what you're really thinking about are the ways that people who are experiencing your product become differentiated, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But the key point here is that this requires a social environment. This is what the real power of Salesforce Chatter, for example, is about. It's turning what is a really dry, sort of static environment into one that's sort of rich and compelling and social. And the reason is that you can increase loyalty and reputation and stickiness through that. So let me perhaps provide a different way to visualize this. This graph depicts the same concept. So here on the y-axis, you have the value of a reward. And on the x-axis, you have the degree of socialness of the environment in which that reward is granted. We talked about loyalty being really attached to the hard monetary payout. What I get out of it is what I put into it. The perceived value of a monetary or hard payout doesn't change ever. It's static. But in a social environment, rewards around privileges or labels or access or status, they have a higher value the more social it is. So from a product design perspective, think about this early on. We heard the earlier panel talking about thinking about what your critical success factors are. I would argue that, especially if you're in a sort of multi-tenant SaaS environment where you have lots of people sort of using your product, socialness of that environment is really key. I'll tell just a quick story and maybe a little foreshadowing, but when I in an earlier life we had a product and there were a lot of people sort of using the product and they were developing expertise and skill, and that skill was really manifesting itself outside